From the Russian flu to the Black Death, we count down 7 of the worst epidemics that almost wiped out civilization. Number 7. The Moscow Plague and Riot. In 1771, the Moscow Plague and Riot claimed up to 200,000 people. The bubonic plague struck Moscow in late 1770, and by spring the following year had become a full-blown epidemic. The quarantine measures imposed by officials infuriated and terrified the public in equal measure, causing widespread riots and the destruction of quarantine zones. The economy was at a standstill, they were running out of food, and soldiers were finally brought in with provisions to restore order. In the end, 300 people were arrested and up to 200,000 perished. Number 6. The Russian flu. The Russian flu killed 1 million people all up. This pandemic of 1889 to 1890 is the earliest for which detailed records are available. Despite documentation, scientists have yet to agree on the virus type of the flu, and as recently as the 2000s, bodies have been exhumed for conclusive answers. The flu began in Russia, but spread rapidly through Europe, reaching North America and Asia before tapering off, but not before claiming 1 million victims. Number 5. The Hong Kong flu. The first outbreak of the Hong Kong flu happened in the summer of 1968. By September, the flu reached India, the Philippines, Australia, and Europe. By fall, it was brought into California by returning troops from Vietnam, becoming widespread in the US by Christmas of that year. By January, it was in South America, Japan, and Africa. 1 million people died, though the virus only had a case fatality ratio of 0.5%. Number 4. The Antonine Plague. Roman soldiers unknowingly started the Antonine Plague in 165 AD, when they returned home from the Near East carrying either smallpox or measles. Over 15 years, outbreaks killed as many as 2,000 people a day and decimated 1/3 of the Roman army. As a result, Rome's army was unable to hold back tribes in the north, and by some accounts, never fully recovered from the blow dealt by the plague. In total, 6.5 million people died. Number 3. The Justinian Plague. The bubonic plague slipped into Constantinople from China in 541 AD, killing up to 10,000 people a day at its peak. The plague decimated the Emperor Justinian's tax base, undermining his ability to battle the Vandals and the Goths, and effectively ended the chance of uniting the Western and Eastern Roman empires. Justinian himself was one of the few infected by the plague who, in the end, survived. The plague of Justinian killed 25 million people worldwide. Number 2. The Spanish flu. Unlike most outbreaks, the majority of victims from the 1918 pandemic were young and healthy. Estimates put the possible number of dead at up to 100 million people, 6% of the global population at the time. Cases were reported from the Pacific Islands to the Arctic. The disease did not originate in Spain, but the European nations had the most accurate and uncensored reporting for the outbreak, resulting in the belief that it started there. 10 to 20% of those infected died from the virus, that has since returned again in 2009. Number 1. The Black Death. The Black Death wiped out 100 million people. One of the most devastating pandemics in the history of the world, the Black Death killed up to 60% of Europe's population between 1348 and 1350, reducing the global number of people to 350 million. The monumental death toll shaped contemporary morality, and a live-for-the-moment approach to life infused Europe during the slaughter and after the deaths tapered off. The disease was called Black, not for its tendency to cause gangrene before death, but because of the black mood it inspired. It took 150 years for the population to recover. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.